Hello, all. This is David Martin, psychotherapist and LMFT with Illuminated Pathways. I'm here with another video. I'm here to continue with my series on betrayal trauma. So this is episode number 2. I invite you to go back to look at episode number 1. I'm going to be covering some similar content in this one. But there is some uniqueness with this one, specifically uh, talking about why betrayal trauma is different versus other traumas. Okay. Uh, so today we're going to do a deep dive on this a little bit more and get a little bit deeper into this. Um, and I want to focus in on how this differs from other kinds of trauma, how culture and social norms complicate the healing, and why so many people experience it as a kind of disenfranchised grief. And I'll get a little bit more, we're going to get more into disenfranchised grief and what that is, right? So, unlike death, where there are rituals, support, and recognition, betrayal often leaves you grieving someone who's still alive or a loss that's invisible to others. Research shows that between 30 to 60% of individuals who are portrayed by a partner report clinically significant post-traumatic stress disorder symptoms. So in this video, like I said, we're going to cover betrayal trauma and why it's different, the cultural and emotional barriers to healing, maybe some more statistics in here, and practical ways to begin the recovery journey. So let's dive in on this subject. So, why is betrayal trauma unique? Why is it different? So, betrayal trauma occurs when someone, like I said, you depend on, a partner, a caregiver, an institution violates your trust, right? And we covered some of that in the last video. Um, and that comes from the medicalnewstoday.com. What makes it unique? Like I said, the perpetrator may still be present in your life. You haven't lost them in death, right? Um, you may still have to be involved in their life, especially if you have kids, right? Or if you live in the same community, right? Something like that. You may feel you must stay connected and depend on them, either for emotional reasons, financial, and like I said, relational reasons. Um, they're sometimes they're family, right? And like, what are you going to do unless you leave your family, right? Social norms may minimize your pain, but they're still alive. It wasn't that bad, quote unquote. So you don't receive the same grief rights as other traumas. It often involves disenfranchised grief. Like I said, grief that is acknowledged for social or socially supported because others don't see the loss, right? So, cultural norms, many societies expect a script for trauma, especially around death, accidents, or combat. Betrayal trauma breaks the script. People often say, "Why aren't you over this?" Right? Just let go, walk away, right? It's different. Um, so let's dive into disenfranchised grief. So disenfranchised grief is was defined by Kenneth Doka. um, quote unquote, grief that persons experience when they incur a loss that is not or cannot be openly acknowledged, socially sanctioned, or publicly mourned. It occurs when the relationship, the loss, or the expression of grief is not socially recognized. Examples include losses of a pet, a lost dream, identity loss, or in our case, the loss of trust, safety, or relationship expectation. So, what is unique for betrayal trauma? One, loss without typical rituals or recognition. In betrayal trauma, the person you trusted may still be alive, the relationship may still exist in some form, yet the past, safety, and trust are gone. You are grieving what you thought you had or what you believed, not always a physical death or a clearly defined loss. The world around you often doesn't recognize that grief. For example, I lost the partner I thought I had, or I lost my sense of safety, but there's no funeral, no community ritual, no social sanction for that kind of loss. Number two, social minimization and isolation. Many people around you say, but they're still here. You still have them. That invalidates your grief. The cultural script for grief typically assumes death or obvious loss. Betrayal often doesn't fit that script, so it becomes invisible. And that comes from a fair recovery. One study on abuse and institutional betrayal noted that survivors' grief was routinely discredited and their loss invisible to and invalidated by social institutions. And that comes from Griffith Research Repository. Moving on to number three, ambiguous loss and mixed emotions. The loss is ambiguous because the person is still alive. The relationship, like I said, may continue or trust may still exist in some form, yet you feel profoundly changed. This ties into the concept of ambiguous loss, and that comes from Wikipedia. You feel sorrow and anger, relief and grief, confusion and despair. Emotions are complex and often shame-filled when social support expects simple grief. Number four, internal conflict and shame. Because your suffering doesn't look like normal grief, quote unquote, you may question your own validity. Am I allowed to feel this? Shouldn't I be over this by now? The internal invalidation makes healing harder and prolongs the trauma response. So, here are some therapeutic pointers in healing disenfranchised grief and betrayal trauma. One, name the loss. I lost the version of you I believed in. I lost the safety I trusted. I lost part of myself when this betrayal happened. Number two, create your own ritual. Since society may not offer one, design a personal or relational ritual. Write a letter to that person, a symbolic act, right? Do a funeral service, right? Release balloons, releasing that person. Have a safe space to talk to mark the loss. Validate the grief. Recognize that your feelings are valid even if no one else acknowledges them. Shame dissolves with acknowledgement. Number four, process the ambiguity. Work with the therapist on the mixed emotions, the relief, anger, sorrow, confusion. Partake in trauma-informed therapy like EMDR. Somatic and IFS can help with this. Rebuild, identify, and trust. Your old self often feels lost. Reconstruct who you are now, what you value, and how you want to relate. Reconnect with community. Find safe peer support groups who get it. Isolation deepens disenfranchisement. Shared stories often resolve the shame. Talking with others about it, sharing your experiences with others. Allow ongoing grief. Disenfranchised grief often doesn't follow linear stages, much like other griefs and losses, right? You might revisit your grief years later. That's normal. Honor small losses and shifts. Recognize the smaller griefs without betrayal. Loss of self, loss of future, loss of expectation, each deserves attention. So I hope this video helps, and I want to thank you for showing up for this deeper conversation around betrayal trauma and disenfranchised trauma. So betrayal trauma doesn't follow the usual direction of healing. It often happens when you're still alive, still connected, still needing to find our way through loss without a map. But healing is absolutely possible. You can reclaim your trust, rebuild your self-worth, and find the peace and relational authenticity you deserve. If this video resonated, please like, subscribe, and share. Um, Also, if you're a man struggling to understand how betrayal has changed you, stay tuned. My next video dives into betrayal trauma in men, why it is often invisible, how cultural expectations make it harder to heal, and what true recovery looks like when you're reclaiming your life, your peace, and your strength. Don't forget, like, subscribe, and share with others who may benefit from it. And if you like what you see, please offer some suggestions and some feedback. You can also check out the information below on how to get in contact with me, and and we can and I can address some more of those things in my future videos. If you'd like to work with me, you can also see my contact information, and and I hope to hear back from you all, and I welcome feedback, and I hope you all benefited from this video. And I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.